Hey, Assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing fantastic. Another fun-filled day. So, I plan to go. I wasn't really digging it anyways, and after you hear the story, you may think that I'm just rationalizing this situation. Rationalization is a defense mechanism. Defense mechanism. We learn about it in what is it? Psychology or something. We learned about it in health class. The best story to describe it is the fox and the sour grapes. The fox tries to reach the grapes. He's not able to, so he says they're probably sour. So I may be doing that, but seriously, I wasn't too big on it anyways. There are these underground tours um, that go on in Berlin, and they show like bunkers and stuff in Cold War, World War II. I don't know why. I've never been that interested in details of um, all these wars, just I don't know, wars in general. Unless it's happening right now, then that's very interesting to me. I want to know details so I can, defend my view against the war because wars in the modern world, I believe, are just crazy. I mean, all this collateral damage. Peace. So I went there, and it turned out it was closed. I had misread it. It said Friday to Monday. I thought it said Monday to Friday. And so I felt really stupid. And the lady was like, I don't know. She just made me feel stupid. She did not speak too much English, and I told her, I was like, "You're open, right?" I came an hour and a half early so I could buy my ticket, and she's like, "No." And so I picked up the pamphlet, and she's like, "That's German." Like in a way, like you don't understand German, silly non-German person. At least that's how it came off. And so the English one said Friday to Monday, and I was like, "Oh, sorry. Well, then I'll come tomorrow." And she's like, "No, we're closed tomorrow, 'cause Christmas." Whatever. The next thing on my plan was to go see the Berlin Wall, at least part of it, and so I got to do that. I just went earlier, so it was really cool. And it was the Berlin Wall Documentation Center in Benauer Straße, and so that place was so interesting. So not only do you have, and I'll post this photo on my Flickr. Not only do you have a picture of the actual Berlin Wall, uh, a piece of the actual Berlin Wall that is preserved. I mean, it must have been like, I don't know, something like 10 meters. I mean, so not that big, but you could go out there and touch it, and I touched it, and I felt like, I don't know, it's history right there, and you're touching it. Also, when you come inside, like that very same street and the very same, I think it was a church or something that they renovated, and it then became this documentation center. I mean, you have stories and newspaper clippings, and you can see little videos from the 60s that show people trying to escape through this very area. And I don't know, it was very, very sad. It was very well documented. I loved it. I had a great time reading about the history, but it made me really sad. Can we not learn from history? I mean, these German people, they're remembering the Berlin Wall and how they split themselves up and how it was terrible and how it was for economic purposes and political purposes. Yet we have the people in Gaza, in Gaza right now, who are starving to death. They're living in terrible conditions because they had a democratic election, and as a result, Hamas won. And it's like, hey, look, look, look. We believe in democracy, but under certain conditions at certain parties. And so, the state of Israel puts them under this uh, embargo that is just terrible, that is leading them to dig tunnels just to get basic food items to Egypt. And now, after they built, started building, and I think will continue building, or I don't even know the situation, to be honest. But there is a wall that is the Israeli government has built, and I don't know if they're planning on building more. They've, I mean, it's pretty obvious that them and the American government are now encouraging, and the Egyptian government has declared it will start building a wall between Egypt and between Gaza to stop these people who are smuggling goods. Some are smuggling, they say some are smuggling drugs, but many are smuggling food items, and they claim they're smuggling weapons as well. But the point is, there's a problem here, and building this wall will not solve the problem. You need to deal with the issue directly. And so, history, again, repeating itself. They're trying to make it extra deep, so it's terrible. And I think just like the German history, which I've read, that the Egyptian people are against it. At least that's what I've read from certain editorials. Um, I haven't visited the Reichstag, or I don't know how to say it, the Parliament building, but I've seen a lot of churches that are burnt and some of the museums, which is actually, from what I've read from World War II, from the bombings, and they still haven't, cleaned it up. So I've taken pictures and I'll put that on my Flickr. And also the Brandenburger Gate, which is like, it was blocked off when they built this wall. There's a lot of history there. I mean, I suggest you read a little bit on this wall, and then on other walls, and separation and apartheid in South Africa, and whites and blacks being separated in the U.S. I mean, it's never a good idea to separate people like that. So I said last time I was talking about the tickets, and I didn't figure it out. So I get on the I get on the subway, and I don't know. You just see all these movies about German people, and movies are terrible in that they make you generalize, and you have this stereotype. Guy wearing a leather jacket, and he's like, he starts speaking German. Everyone's like, they're pulling out their wallets and stuff, and I'm like asking around me. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, ticket inspection, and I'm like, oh man. I had bought a ticket, less than 2 hours ago. So I was like, this ticket's still good. The guy, Lebanese guy, told me it's good for 2 hours and 45 minutes or something. And so I pull it out, and he's like, don't you have a ticket? In a very heavy accent. And I was like, here. And I was like, I'm so confused. And then I pulled out my American passport. I'm like, I'm a foreigner. And he's like, you'll get off at the next stop with me. And I was like, oh crap. He was like an undercover police officer or something. He's like, my colleague will speak with you. And so his colleague spoke English. And apparently the pass I bought is only good for 3 stops. Another pass you buy, which is the one I bought twice the day earlier, is good in one direction for only 2 hours, not 2 hours and 45. And then you can buy like a day pass, which is good for whichever direction. But if you go one way and then you start switching back, it's bad. I think I was the only person with a ticket. Everybody else either had a university card, so I'm guessing students get in for free or something. I heard students are treated very well by the German government. That's what I've read. Um, or they had some other thing. I was the only one with a pass or with a ticket. So that was scary, and he was like, usually, they both said it. He's like, usually it's a 40 euro fine. That's what, like $57 or something. That's expensive. So I guess it's not an honor system. Those big fines kind of do it, but it's just so scary. They're just in there. They're wearing the leather coat, just sitting in there like ticket inspection, and you're like, ah. It scared me at least. So it's very expensive to travel. Um, what do I pay? I pay like 2 euros and 30 euro cents or whatever they're called to just go one way. With that money, I could pretty much, I don't think in a week I spend that much on lunch in Egypt. So that's a week's worth of lunch, just so you know. Again, with the beer thing, so you know you're in Germany when, and I'm going to say a few things. People drink beer on the train. It's just, or I went to this one place called Kaiser's. Kaiser's, yeah, it's actually called Kaiser's. I first thought it was a joke. And you know when you go to the cashier, well, there's little like you know how there's like candy, mini candy. There's little things of alcohol, of beer, and one said vodka on it as well. And so I thought that was pretty interesting, and something that was special here. You know you're in Germany when you see Mercedes taxis. They look so cool, and they're nice Mercedes too. I want to get in one, but I kind of don't want to spend the money on it. So I think I'll stick to the public transportation. Um, Now, remember, I don't know if I said this, but in Cairo, when I went to the train station, there was this little sign that said you have to pay 25 piastres. I don't know how to say it, but cents in Egyptian to use the restroom. And I was like, man, you know what? This is Egypt. That's messed up.